Joshua Smith here, and welcome to the GSD Mode podcast. Now get shit done and smash that subscribe button now. What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast interview, where every single week I interview top real estate agents, top entrepreneurs, and straight up top badasses that are out there dominating their space. There are people choosing to not live life of mediocrity, but instead to go out there and create big, amazing, epic lives for themselves, for their families, as well as have a big impact on others. And today, guys, got another rock star guest here, as always, on the GSD Mode podcast. Good buddy of mine that I've known for years, and this dude is just on fire. Our guest today, Ollie Abbas. So you guys, this is a dude that's been in the business for about 10 years now, and like so many real estate agents, man, he struggled, and it took some time for things to click and figure out what worked for him, what didn't work, and he goes through his journey and so forth. But in the last year and a half, his business has been on fire. He's been able to grow a team of over 30 agents in the last year and a half, and just is kicking ass and continuing to grow. And he breaks it all down from a mindset perspective to strategy standpoint of, you know, what he was doing and not doing when he was struggling and when things weren't working in the way that he wanted, and then what clicked, right? What were those difference makers in his mindset, in his business, and so forth, that allowed him just to go out there and explode and be on this massive success trajectory that he is on. Now, real quick, before we jump into this podcast interview, if you haven't already, make sure that you go snag my new book, Dominate Your Real Estate Business, Top Tips from a Top Producer, 100% free. It's a digital copy that will be in your email box within seconds, because this is 42 chapters. Each chapter is a different tip. These are just top strategies, tips, methods that I personally have done and implemented in my real estate business over the years that allowed me to become one of the top realtors and team leaders on the planet. Nothing being sold, 100% free. Go snag your copy right now at joshuasmithfreebook.com. joshuasmithfreebook.com. All right, let's jump into this amazing GSD Mode podcast with my friend Ollie. All right, my friend Ollie, welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, dude, I'm doing great, man. I'm stoked and honored to have you on here, dude. It's been, I know I've known you for a long time. And just watching you continue to kick ass, dude. And you know, you're doing so many amazing. I'm like, man, we gotta get you on, bro. Like, we gotta all learn from you, dude.
I'm excited to be here. Yeah, you've been an amazing mentor. Your program changed my life. The methods that you teach, the systems that you show, and the whole mindset component is fantastic. And I am a student of your teaching, and I really admire what you do and respect it.
Yeah, no, it means a lot, man. It's been an awesome journey. You know, I love when we can, you know, roll on these success journeys together, dude. And it's been so awesome watching you, man. And you know, before we get into the things that you've done and continue to create success, and I'm always intrigued in our guest journeys that led them here in the first place. I know you've been in the business for just, you know, 10 years or so. And, you know, what was life like before real estate, and what led you into this, you know, on this path anyway?
Yeah. So I come from an immigrant family. We came here when I was 7 from Lebanon. I've been doing sales since I was 12, door-to-door chocolate sales. You know, rain or snow, it doesn't matter. We still do it. And it was taught me a lot of grit, rejection, how to handle people telling you to buzz off. That was really helpful. So I've been in sales pretty much most of my life. Entrepreneurship, helped run the family construction business for a while. Did IT executive sales with Dell and HP, and then realized, like, what am I doing here? I can just go and do it so much bigger and better with real estate. Like, why am I selling computers when I can sell houses? So I made the switch. And at the beginning, I switched to a commercial brokerage, did that for about 2 years. I was too limited there. I could only do commercial, and you know, cycles are long, and so I figured I might as well do both, and then went to a different brokerage that allowed me to do both, and I did both, and yeah, it's been pretty amazing so far. You know, and things just started skyrocketing about 16 months ago. That's when things started going really fast.
Yeah, awesome. So, in what part of, I know you're up in Canada. What is it, Ottawa, or what part of
Ottawa,
Canada are you
yeah,
located?
yeah,
Okay,
Ottawa, yeah, yeah.
yeah. And what just out of curiosity, man, because I know that there is, a lot of our listeners are here in the States, and sometimes the market can be opposite in parts of Canada. A couple years back, as an example, I had a dude on from Calgary because it's so tied, not Calgary, I think Edmonton, because it's so tied to oil there, that our market was booming, but they were in a recession at the time. And I mean, what's going on in your market right now?
We are one of the hottest cities in Canada right now. So our market is a pretty severe sellers market, very low inventories. So Ottawa's primary employer is the government. 2/3 of the population works for the federal or provincial or city government. And the rest is tech. So the two most beneficial during this time is tech and government. And so so it's almost like it just made things go a lot hotter here, and it was already hot before like the whole COVID thing, and then now it's like it's been insane, 24 to 25%, sometimes 30% growth month to month here. It's insane.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
was just having a conversation with a friend of mine before we jumped on this podcast. I'm like, dude, real estate just didn't rebound during COVID-19. It like freaking catapulted.
Yeah,
Right? It's
yeah.
crazy. Yeah, because you guys are at Shopify, I believe headquarters is right
That's
there
right.
in Ottawa. Yep.
That's
And
right. Yeah.
yeah, I have a business partner of mine that's in Toronto in another business, and keep talking about planning a trip, for her and I to go to visit Shopify headquarters and so forth. And
Ottawa is beautiful, man. It's a really nice place. You got the Gatineau Mountains up north, 25 minutes away, and there's so much to see and do here. It's not a party place, but it's like a scenic, very scenic.
yep, yep,
Yeah.
love it, man. So getting back to with your real estate career. So what time was it? Just for a timeline, what year was it when you switched from the brokerage that you were restricted to just doing the commercial, where that allowed you to now do residential and commercial?
So I'd say about like 7 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, man. And then, I know that you mentioned in the last 16 months, man, that's when things really started to pivot and turn and explode for you, but also you had to, in order for things to thrive, like we need to survive and so forth. So I'm, just kind of curious before we get into that thing that really pivoted and transitioned to allow you to explode, and have all the momentum that you're having now. What were those first few years like, for your real estate? Kind of allowed you to lay that foundation and let's just call it what it is, man, allow you to not become a statistic like 90% of this industry
Yeah.
ends up being that's out of the business in the first few years. What were those first few years like, and like, what did you do that, allowed you to create that foundation?
Excellent question. So the first few years were the commercial part is like, well, just like that. That was not like it. I was dealing with $1 million portfolios, but I was more like an owner. So profit, played around on every deal, even though I did all the work. So the first 10 years was challenging. Most of it was, I'd have some amazing years and I'd have some so-so years. So one of the things that I learned was not to spread into other ventures and just focus on the core, which is real estate. So I went and made some money, and then started to think I was an entrepreneur, and then started opening up a couple of businesses, and then realized that if you spread yourself out too thin, you don't focus on what's important. So I was focusing on different businesses instead of my core real estate. And it took a very expensive lesson to learn that, hey, just focus on what you know, just master your craft, and that's all you can do. Those years were very challenging. I made a venture, and that venture ate up most of my time, but didn't generate really the income, and the income was all coming from real estate. So that's where it was, and it led to a lot of pain, a lot of struggling. But it did teach me so much, like a lot. The lessons taught during this period, it's invaluable what I learned during that process.
Yeah, life is so funny, man. It's we can go out there and read books and take courses and learn all day long of what to do, but it's very difficult to figure out what not to do until we
Yes.
have those experiences, man. And I've been there, dude. Taking on too many ventures at the same time, and failed ventures, and dude, it is I know the pain that you went through, man. I've been there too many
Yeah,
times
yeah.
to count, and had to learn those lessons the hard way too, man.
Yeah, yeah. And now I'm like, okay, just focus on what you do, and just, at least if you're going to do a business, just make it related to your current core business. Don't spread. Like I went and got into like technology. I even had a retirement home. I had like tech, like, so I was just doing too much, yeah, they could make money, but it was just, too diverse, and I of course, I learned about partnership and how partnerships, if not structured properly and are not clear, can run into challenges. So all that helped me a lot, and in terms of like, they say you have to go to darkness to see the light. I had to experience that so I can see that, okay, I don't want to go there. I don't want to be there. That's where I don't want to go. So how do I get here if I'm there? I'm very thankful for that, because at the time while I was in it, I was thinking it was the worst nightmare. But then now that I'm out of it, I'm like, wow, okay, now I appreciate this a lot more.
Yep.
Every minute I appreciate it. Okay. That's, so I'm like, okay, that was needed. I understand. Okay. A lesson, a very valuable one.
Yeah. It's interesting how some of those painful moments can come back and become some of our greatest blessings and assets later in life, if we choose to allow them to be the teachers that they are.
Correct. Yeah. So I'm a big believer that everything you want is on the other side of fear. So it's only when you face your biggest fear are your biggest opportunities available. So I had to face my biggest fear, which took a big chunk out of me, but it created this reality, which is a much better reality.
So it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but it sounds like, man, like you had success in real estate. It was really the distraction holds you away from doing these things. Like you mentioned, you have a great year, and then the next one wasn't. So what is that? Is that a safe statement to say of like you had what it took to be successful, and you were able to create success? You just allowed the distractions to really get to you and pull you down.
Correct. Yes. So it's the distractions were the things that were holding me down. So then that's like as Darren Hardy would say, like you got to keep the momentum. I wasn't keeping momentum. Every time I'd get even the tiniest momentum, like I wouldn't say it was success like at a massive scale, but it was a little bit of momentum. I would A distraction would come and like put the brakes on it, and then again put the brakes. So that then I didn't realize it until it was like I was so deep into it. I'm like, oh my god, how do I deal with this? And then I had to do like, so at that point you're so deep, you have to do like the thing that you fear the most or the biggest pain to get, and that was yeah, that was the journey, man, up to the point where everything got changed. And it's almost like it went fast. Everything's got changed after I had that awakening moment, that aha moment, that moment where like, hey, no, this is not gonna. It actually came. You have this like video that's not very popular about visualization. The beach office, the office on the beach.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Man, that helped me, man. That like I don't meditate. I hate meditation. Uh, and like I watched this video, I'm like, huh, interesting. So I'm not really meditating. I'm telling a story, and I tell the same story every day, and that story changes every day. And I go see my mentor every day. So then I use that story where I started, and I went to the beach, and my office was there. And then I use that to give me the little bit of hope required at the bleakness of the most bleak, to allow me to get the clarity required to get myself out of it. It was amazing. It was you know which one I'm talking about, right?
I know exactly which
yeah,
one. It's my personal meditation routine, man. Yeah, it's probably the least watched, coaching video that I have. And I get it because it's kind of woo woo, right? But at the end of the day, it's, and these are just routines that I learned from Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich and Wayne Dyer and some of his teachings and, just bits and pieces that I took and was able to, from retreats and stuff that I've been to really just formulate a way. So I can't even say I came up with it. It was just stolen pieces from other people I consider mentors, whether here or, that were here in the past. But, to be able to just manifest and visualize on what it is that you truly want, right? And just keeping that front of mind. I'm a huge believer in manifestation, not to the point, like I love the movie, The Secret, that documentary, that's not right? But what they don't talk about in The Secret is you got to back it up by action.
Correct.
Right? But me on that manifestation like you did, and it can just set us into massive action.
Yeah. It was the visualization, and so I took your core concept of it and I modified it. And then at that time, you mentioned a lot of Darren Hardy, and I like Darren Hardy, but I never read his book. So I read his book, The Compound Effect. Wow, that totally changed my mind, because he talks about momentum and he talks about a concept I never really paid attention to, which was habits and habit formation and habit loops, and how habits are the core to pretty much anything that you want to do. You just focus on the habit. And then, so the meditation allowed the clarity to occur so I can focus on what habits are required so that I can formulate the morning ritual routine so I could actually do what needs to be done and avoid the distractions. Because a lot of these things are just distraction avoidance, just avoiding distractions. Really, that's all it is. There's no magic pill. There's no secret formula. There's no anything. It's just avoid distractions. Learn how to time block, how to say no, how to be disciplined. And what is discipline? Just doing things in a routine manner. Well, you got to start somewhere, right? So, and you've got to understand the concept of momentum. Habits are just momentum in motion. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you make it a habit. And if you do it long enough, it becomes a strong habit where it's very difficult to even stop it. And you can form those on purpose, and you can form those towards things that are important. So that book by Darren Hardy, really was also influential during this whole, it's like a whole things that they just simmer and they just come together, and then things just start happening.
Yeah. So walk us through that, man. I mean, what were some of the really important habits that you adopted that really allowed you to start building up that momentum that have, carried into even the success and the continued momentum that you have today?
So the habits. So I'm a big believer in being not average. So being not normal in a way that's positive. So most of the habits that I do are non-conventionary, and I've been doing that, and I'm usually an early adopter to certain habits. So, some of these habits include like the Wim Hof method. You ever heard of that method?
Oh, yeah. So, got the app on my phone, man.
Yep. Yeah. So I was back in the day when nobody even heard about it. That helped a lot. So Wim Hof for like 5 years. That started the whole, okay, wait a minute, there's something more to what we know. And, who knew that if you breathe a certain way, you can come almost immune to cold. And then next thing you know, I'm skiing in shorts. I'm like, taking out the garbage barefoot, like in the middle of minus 30-degree weather. And I'm like, wow, okay. So now I know mindset's important. What more can I do? So then I started other things like I do ketogenic diet. So I'm big on health. Wim Hof also introduced me to like yoga. So I do pretty intense yoga, like not normal, like inversion, headstands for extended periods of times, push-ups, gravity-based squats. And that's part of my morning routine. So I used to do them loosely. Then I realized you could just condense everything into a morning session that involves the meditation, which was also a habit that I had to form, because every book I ever read every guru, self-help, everybody says the same thing. You need meditation, or you need clarity. Okay, you need to calm the waters so you can see deep. If you don't calm the waters, meaning quiet the thoughts, you cannot see what's underneath the water. And like my whole life before was just waves, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I can't see, so there's no clarity. And if there's no clarity, you don't know where you're going. So I had that. So that all these things came together. So the yoga, the meditation, the breathing, which is a Wim Hof method. And then I started doing, I'm very disciplined in my sleep. Okay. This is totally unconventional. So I do 4.5 hours of sleep, which is 90-minute cycles. I do 3 of them. So, so between 4.5 to 6 hours. And I've been doing that for over 5 years, very strict. So 4.5. So no matter what time I sleep, it's 4.5. And then on top of all that, 3 years ago, I did, 3 years ago, ketogenic. I lost 85 pounds with that as well. So that was like when I started losing all that weight. So I had to work on my identity first, my core, who I am. I had to like shed the weight. I had to like get into the discipline. And then at that point, I had enough clarity to face some of the bigger fears that were on the whole career, income, all the things happening around me. So, the journey was, I had to work on me first. And then from there, I can go ahead and start addressing the other things that were more external than internal. So a lot of the issues were actually internal.
Yeah. No, I love it. So powerful, man. And look, for those that might be watching or listening to this that haven't done this kind of work, because like you mentioned, man, every self-help book that you read or a leader, if you will, have regimented routine, meditation can be a common thing. Having clarity can be a common thing, and so forth. I think one of the challenges a lot of people have with this, though, is it's kind of like taking, I compare it to taking my omega-3, fatties, pills.
Yes.
Like, dude, I'm popping those every day. I'm not seeing a difference, right away. And it might be a while before I start seeing the difference of feeling, and then, start getting blood work back and seeing how it changed different biomarkers and so forth. But, a lot of people might start meditating, like, what is this doing? I'm not really feeling the difference. It's another added thing to my plate and so forth. From like, what power and impact has this been able to have in your overall production? Like you said, like you had to learn to take care of you and have that solid foundation with yourself first for the other stuff to really take place. But I don't want people to dismiss this, right? Because I don't think most people understand the power that having these routines can create for us in our life and our business.
Yeah. That was the catalyst, is the routine. I was not a routine person. I'm a type I in the whole disc quadrant thing. So when you're type I have advanced ADHD, right? I have trouble focusing. So the meditation allowed me to focus, so I can see what's important in front of me. So it was critical because I never had that level of clarity before. And once you have true clarity, it's like you can see over a longer distance than you did before. And once you see it, that's it. And it's like the compound effect. So it's like a penny doubling. The penny for the first, you ever heard the analogy of the penny that keeps doubling? And what's the value on day 31? Nobody really understands that the value on day 31 is almost $12 million. It's like 11 and a little bit. So, but for the first 20 days, it's like nothing. Okay. And people quit before that penny doubles. So I was quitting on day 3, never allowing that compound effect to occur. And meditation is a core aspect of it, because I go back to the analogy of water. Most of our thoughts and our mind are like waves, and you need to still the mind so you can see what's underneath, or you can see what needs to be done, what's the next action step. And that's where that visualization really helps. So I would have the journey so I modified what you've done and added so much, I made it a story. It was fun. It was an adventure. I looked forward to it. It was my morning victory, my movie. It was my TV. So I would just say, okay, I would go there. I would have the room of light. Okay. In there, you can have God, you can have like, you know, like some alien, you can have the beauty about this is it's infinite. You can have like yourself from the future, yourself from the past. And then, you know, if you want to make a decision, that hypothetical version of yourself coming in, telling you, hey, look, this is what happened, you know, or, you know, sometimes you're feeling defeated, you know, someone that you love, your kids, just there, just, you know, just providing you unconditional love. All that can exist every single morning. And then these routines, what they were doing is they were compounding victories, right? Just little small wins. At least in the morning, you win that. If you can do that, and I always committed to the minimal. So I always be like, hey, if I can do 5 push-ups and I can do like a minute of meditation and maybe a minute of yoga, that's it. Can I do a minute? Yeah, there's no reason why I can't do a minute. And then I would do the don't break the chain method, which is at least do it daily. So if I do a minute, like don't miss 2 days, just miss 1 day. Okay, but just start the next. Try not to miss 2 days in a row. And yeah, so this helped. So the meditation component combined with the mind, and this is all just the mindset element of things, which is, and you know, there's a lot of offshoots like gratitude, you know, like appreciation, visualization, planning, where you can start planning your day, because if you don't have clarity, you can't plan. So all these things are tied into these little simple things, which is really just having quiet time for yourself, undisturbed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my mentors over the years, Garrett J. White, founder of Wake Up Warrior, you know, he calls it being on power with purpose each day.
Yes.
You know, right? So it's like, okay, you got that clarity. So you know, you're able to, as you mentioned, plan your day, right? But then we want to go out there and have and create as much internal power to execute on that day. So those morning routines, taking care of yourself, the clean eating, all of that gives you the power to operate at the best version of yourself to attack that intentional day. And it becomes so powerful, man. And, you know, one of the things that a lot of people don't think about, especially in the sales world, you know, right, is the power of confidence. And if we look at confidence at the end of the day, what is that? That is our reputation with ourselves,
Exactly.
you know, right? So as you're, I'm guessing as you're keeping these commitments each day that you're making to yourself, yes, you know, whether you had awareness of it or not at the moment, is building your internal confidence that allows you to go out there and lead better, lead your clients better, lead your family better, lead, convert at a higher ratio and so forth. Because I got to imagine through this journey, your confidence also started to skyrocket as well.
Correct. Yes. Yes. It was confidence, and it's really an identity thing, because with the clarity comes the commitment, and you know, I knew what to commit to and what not to commit to, and once you commit to something and you're clear, that's technically what confidence is clarity. You have clarity. You know who you are and where you stand at almost all moments. You know, and it's almost like living in flow. The more you live in flow, and flow is a very broad topic, but flow is just doing the next best action, no matter how small it is, and whether you feel like it or you don't.
Yep. Well, and it just compounds and builds over time, compound effect, you know, right? To
Yeah.
Now, I mean, people might be like to you, oh, dude, what did you do, man? I mean, you've grown your business so much, and
Yes.
you know, right, over the last maybe year and a half, but it's this foundation that you set that allowed to build up the momentum, build the disciplines, and so forth, that keeps compounding to this, you know, the momentum that you keep, you know, having and keep creating, and boom, just explodes. So, you know, I'm curious, dude, at what point did your business get to the point where you were able to then start your real estate team?
So it all started because, you know, they say, what was it? Pain and pleasure come from the same place, right?
Yeah.
I experienced tremendous pain. Like one of the businesses was being foreclosed. I had a new baby coming. My car went on fire. I almost died. It exploded on the highway. I was outside without a jacket for an hour waiting for that. Financially, it was challenging. You know, with the new baby, my wife almost died twice in the hospital. My baby got infected as well. It was a very, very stressful 3-month period. During that period is when I'm like, okay, look, man, like, what do I got to do to figure this? So then I'm like, okay, I gotta start moving really fast. Meaning I have to start taking a lot of actions. Okay. And where I am now is not going to help. So I'm like, okay, I just need to just focus on my craft, which is real estate. Do I know how to do it? Yeah. So how come I'm not doing the level that I want? Well, because then I started analyzing and having retrospect and the whole visualization and planning and using templates and all that to just get the clarity. At that point, I decided, okay, so first and foremost, I got to position myself in an environment that allows me to grow as fast as possible. Okay, the current brokerage I was with, or the environment I was with, was not helping. It was, one of those brokerages is like 100% where you don't, it's like, there's no real incentives to do anything, right? And so
The
I was
chop
doing
shop.
okay.
They just cut your commissions.
Yeah, it's like, I was I was the top agent there, but a top agent of a small group, and it's like nobody cared. So I'm like, okay, I looked at my research, and then I found the EXP model, and I'm like, okay. And then after that, I was reading the book, The Compound Effect, at the same time. So all this, okay, compound, yeah. And I heard about this before. So all this stuff was happening. I'm like, hey, I gotta get something that will allow me to build mass really fast, as fast as like possible. I reviewed, like, maybe I should just open up my own brokerage, and I'm like, it's gonna take so much work, man. And I already opened up a lot of businesses, man. I really don't want to babysit. I really don't want to have that. I'm not good with accounting. Okay, so I don't want to have taxes and all that. So I'm like, okay, what can I do to get from point A, which is like a very like challenging position, to where I need to be? And that's where I decided to join EXP, and then from that point on, commit to team building. And I believe there's within the model, there's 3 types of realtors. There's the generals who just recruit, and that's all they, or attract, and that's all they do. There's the soldiers who just produce, really good at producing. But then there's the commanders who will produce and attract at the same time. So I decided I will be that, and I will commit to that, and I will commit to learning it to the highest degree. And that's what I've done. So I went in and redid the whole 90-day boot camp, learned as much as I can, and just committed 100% towards that. I used your planner. I modified it. If you see it, it's pretty nice. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna use the planner. That's it. Because a lot of the issues were, you'd say something and then like 3 days later you'd forget it, right? So, but if you write it down and you track it, you can't really forget it because you're tracking it. So I would track every single day to the penny how much my year-to-date income was, how many agents are in the pipe, how many deals are in the pipe, what's closed, what status, to the penny, every day. Every day I would look at that metric, and then I would just say, okay, so today I'm going to do these. So I use your, the tracker there with the dials and all that as well. And the planner would be like the 15 minutes. I would highlight everything else. So that's what really helped me build that momentum to start the whole process, really.
So was it that, as you mentioned, you're on the side of the road for hours with your car's on fire?
Yeah.
Your wife's, baby on the way, and you mentioned the health
a month
issues
later
there.
she gave birth. Yeah.
I mean, what was that the moment where all this really started to change, when you started to develop the routines and all of this? Like, that was when you mentioned pain and power come from the same place. That was just that painful moment in your life. Like, shit, dude, something's got to change here.
Yes. It was a very, like, I had to reassess every aspect of my life, and make the necessary changes to start leveling up. So the habits were a core, and I didn't know how to build them or maintain them. So I focused a lot on the Darren Hardy stuff and your stuff as well. And there was a couple of authors, but yours and his were the most influential. And they just really And when I say that, it's the concept that really helped me. It's like, okay, I don't have to commit to 100% of the habit. I just have to commit to 1% of the habit at least. Can I do 1%? Of course. Okay, so commit to 1%. Commit to 100% to 1%. And then start there. Okay. And then every couple of weeks, days, months, adjust, make it more difficult. And that's exactly where it started. And then I committed. And then whatever I committed to, I made sure it was 100%. So then there was a lot of things I stopped committing to that I was committing to before that were distractions. There was a lot of sacrifices I had to make, a lot. So there was the stuff that I feared. I had to face those as well. So I noticed a lot of stuff that I feared were the stuff that had to be confronted. And by confronted, which is addressed. I had like a little visualization. So imagine waking up in a zombie apocalypse. All right. So it's like shit, like everything's hit the fan, right? It's like everything is like, what the hell's going on? You don't even know how you got there. Okay. But you're there and your family's there. And like, you want to picture like monsters, demons, zombies, whatever you want everywhere. And you don't know how you got there. So then, the story that I would tell myself is, okay, it's dark. You're getting hurt. You're getting scratched. You don't even know where these scratches or these bites are coming from. So then I visualize myself getting out of there. And it's, going through darkness is tough. But hey, you just feel the walls. You get out, jump out the window, get out of that door, find that door, and then go into your little place of, I call it the little place of light, and just level up in there by yourself. There's nobody, no one's going to take you out of where you are. Nobody except you. And that's it. So before I was blaming, everything it was never my fault. It was always something else that was doing it. So detachment, I had the little place where I just focused on myself. They were in the mornings, the little mornings that I had just to focus on myself. And I call it like a little light. And then you just level up, man. You get stronger. You do the exercises. You do the meditation. You do the yoga. You eat right. You do the things that you say no to the distractions. You get stronger physically, mentally. Level up on your game. Master your craft, whatever craft it is. Especially in real estate, man. We're blessed with probably the best business to be in. Period. Nothing else is better than being a realtor. To be honest, like what is better? I can't really think of. Because it's like you get the relationship, you can get the money, and you could even become an entrepreneur. It's so deep. The realtor business can get so deep. It's like insane. You can even become an investor. You could become like a mega team person. You could become an internet. There's no limits to this. So I'm like, okay, let me level up, master my craft. I picture like a little guy in a little bubble with like just a little bubble, and there's darkness here with dragons and like demons, and you're sitting there just focusing, do little push-ups, and then every now and then a character from your life comes out of the darkness. Like usually it was my daughters. They come out and then, they're there, and then it would get bigger and then bigger and then bigger, and still that darkness is there with the house and the dragons. But what's happening is the more you level up internally, the more that bubble gets bigger of light. Okay. And the more people start getting into your life, they're there to help you on the journey or defeat the dragons or the demons or the monsters. Okay. And they're still there and they'll never go away, but they could get very small. So this thing kept on getting bigger and bigger in the momentum. And I consider it like a video game, where you got like the little party there and then they all group up together to fight the bigger dragons. And then you got even bigger dragons and it just keeps going. And then every level has a bigger boss, right? So that's how I visualized it, and it helped me a lot because I didn't know how to get out of it before. So that little visualization with the meditation and that story to the office really helped kind of put things in perspective a little bit.
Yeah, and I love it, man. And we're going to get into here in a moment on like exactly like what you did to start getting business and how what you've done to recruit these agents to the team and so forth. But man, I love that you're going so deep on this stuff because this is the things that don't normally get brought up on the podcast. People don't talk about. But man, I mean, you're taking 100% full responsibility. Right? Not playing the most people, going back to your analogy, they spend so much time thinking about and processing, well, why am I in this apocalypse in the first place? Who brought this here? Why, well, that ain't going to do any good, right? You take 100% full responsibility. You're focusing on the things that you can control. You're facing the fears and developing the routines. And again, focusing on things you can control. becoming a better version of yourself, continuing to level up. And those things, again, man, I don't think people spend enough time talking about this, whether it's on this podcast or just in life, about how much those things are crucial to the success journey. I mean, 90% of the game of success, man, is mental, right? And,
Yeah.
and I love it, man. So then from there, as far as growing that business, because you're at a point right now where you're not doing well financially, a lot of this going on. What did you start doing that started to lead to business? I mean, I know you're doing a lot with your social media presence and so forth, but what really, from kind of a strategy standpoint, when it comes to gaining business, what did you start implementing that started to work really well and also is working really well for you today?
Yeah. The first thing was change my environment. So I had to go into a model that allows me to think bigger than before. I was just Ottawa, not even Ottawa, a little tiny office. So I had to get into an environment that allows me to stretch. Okay. So I had to make the move to EXP. So EXP allows me to grow in any city that I want without so I'm like, okay, first that. Second is the compound model. I'm a big macro person. I have to see macro. So I'm like, okay, this has unlimited potential. Okay, macro, check mark. So then I started, most of the stuff I kind of already knew. Like, for social media, I follow your formula, 1-to-4 ratio. So 4 random personal whatevers for every one business ask, right? So I'll post like 4 funny or interesting stuff, and then I'll post 1, hey, I'm a realtor, or hey, join my team. So I'll do that. I've been following that religiously. I will post, and then so the social media element was to do that. I had to make an agreement with my spouse and be like, listen, I'm going to start producing stuff. Because before all this, I was very personal. I don't share my family stuff. I don't believe in that. I'm big on privacy guy. But I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna start attracting, I need to show people that I'm just like a normal guy who's just out there doing the same thing as them. So I'm like, okay. So I had to first have those conversations that before I would fear, which is, hey, I want to do this. I know we're both private. What are the do's and the don'ts, right? So my wife was like, just don't do any of me, because my wife is she's she's like the angles, right? And then she's like, don't take pictures of a messy house. Our house is messy. Okay, perfect. That's amazing. That's perfect. So then I started doing that, and all it is just your daily routine. You just take a 30-second snip of it. And then I started being more genuine. Like before, I would be worried what people think. I would be, trying to be I would be always careful at everything I say. Then after, I just started just being genuine. If I like something, I like something. If I don't like something, I don't like something, right? And and it's okay to disagree. And a lot of the stuff during all this, another influential key figure is, have you ever heard of Alan Watts?
The name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's the founder of Zen Buddhism, philosophy, and all that.
Okay.
Basically, yin and yang stuff. So then I started understanding that the opposite is needed for anything that you believe in. Okay, so if someone is the opposite or believes in the opposite, respect it. You need that. They're going to make you better. Okay, so if someone disagrees with you, that's a good thing, right? So with that mindset, I would create amazing discourse. Okay, because then every topic is a chance to level up. So I would create interesting discourse, and in terms of my business, the more genuine I became, the more business I got. And the more I focused on just the basics, which is just be me, the more business I got and the more traction came. And the key is just commitment. If you're committed and consistent, everything else will just fall in place. And clear, committed, consistent, and clear. So if you got the clarity and you commit to the clarity and you're consistent in the commitment to the clarity, then whatever you're clear on will occur. So that's why it's important to have the clarity first. So what I did was I just started producing content, 1-to-4 ratio. I use stories heavily, and I monitor stories. I look at, who's liking, who's watching, and on the attraction component, I would use that to see if I should engage or not. In my engagement, I also took everything and made it my own. So everything I do is custom. I would get it approved and I would customize it. Why? Because it allows me to put like my spin on everything. So everything I do has nothing to do with the generic part. Everything I do is what I believe is an optimal version of that. Okay, and that's pretty much the way I roll. Okay, so I'll take like even like your planner, for example. I took it and I say like 40% of it is the core of what you have, but then the other 60% are stuff that I'm like, okay, this planner has this element. So same with the sales aspect. I would just use the fundamentals of what every realtor should do, and then I would add a couple of things that I and of course I love virtual assistants. I leverage them. Like I work with them very heavily. I have 4 virtual assistants. I'm bringing in 3 more and full time. And these VAs can do. They're better than any realtor, to be honest. If like for paperwork, nobody touches them, and they don't make mistakes. And I template everything. I automate everything. I systemize everything. So a lot of the it's like all the material I learned over the last couple, like 8 years, just started materializing. And then like I started like actually putting into action all of the things that I should have put into action before, but now I have clarity. So I started putting into that. So leverage, automation, systems, clarity, and there's a lot, there's a lot of elements to it, and you could get as deep as you want in any section of it, right? There's a lot of them, but with the key of what puts all this together is the clarity, is understanding where is the objective, and then working to get there.
Yep. No, I love it, man. I mean, most people, and I'm stealing this from James Clear, the author of Atomic Habit, is his quote, but it's, he says that most people think they have a motivation problem when in reality they have a clarity problem.
Correct.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't think people don't spend enough time on it, right? I mean, more people will spend more time designing their Christmas list than what they truly want for their life.
Correct.
They just don't spend that time getting that clarity that they really want. And yeah, so powerful, man. And, several times you've mentioned talking about mastering your craft.
Yes.
When you say that, like, what does that mean to you? Because people hear that stuff all the time, but maybe they're not actually mastering their craft, right? Yeah. When you say mastering your craft, like how did you start really mastering your craft?
I decided to be a student of the craft. I don't know anything, so I'm going to be a student. And then having the understanding that real estate is a very, very, very deep sport, man. It's so deep. And the more you look into it, oh my God, man. And anyone who thinks that hey, it's just selling houses, nah, man, there's a lot that goes into it. Like, we can get what level? Okay, you could go residential, commercial, team building. You can just be an investor. You can, within residential, there's the leads. Within commercial, there's the leads. Then there's the conversion. Then there's the system elements. Then there's the relationship element. And each one of those, you can get even deeper. Just in lead gen, like how many topics can you cover on that? Like how many CRMs are there in that? How many different ways are there to lead gen? It's insane. So the mastery of the craft is the understanding of the depth of the craft that you're involved in, and the commitment to understand it as that baby understands the world when they first enter. And part of it is when my daughter came into when she was born, I would get up at night and do the nighttime stuff with her, because the baby, you got to wake up, feed, and there's 3-hour increments. During that period, I realized that babies don't say anything; they just observe. So I'm like, you got to be like a baby. You just got to like observe and absorb everything that happens, and don't act like because you don't know. So just remove ego, So how do babies learn so fast? They're learning everything from scratch because they don't talk a lot. They might cry because they don't know how to talk. But they just observe and absorb, and they watch and they listen. So because of my quadrant, I talk a lot. I wasn't doing a lot of listening. So I'm like, okay, I figure I got to do more listening to myself and to others. And I'm not perfect. Again, it's a journey, right? It's day by day. So I'd say, yeah. So the mastering of the craft is just paying attention to it at a deeper level, which is observing it at a deeper level, which is committing to it at a deeper level, with an objective of growth. So my objective is growth at the highest level, world-class growth. How am I going to do that? Well, I got to have commitment, right? I got to have mastery. If you're not a master of your craft, how are you going to grow? Unless you get lucky or you partner with somebody. But even then, that's temporary, right? So, yeah, mastery of the craft is key. Well, commitment to the mastery of the craft. And understanding that it's never going to end. It's infinite. It's infinite. No matter how deep you get into it, it's infinite. That's what I respect about you. You are so committed to the mastery of the craft. It's like, wow. Like every day you show up, and every day you have the energy, and every day you have the consistency to keep leveling up. And that's truly inspirational. Like I respect that, like to the deepest level. I'm not even at that level. Like I'm not even at the level where I can consistently commit to like time blocking. I'm working towards consistent time blocking, but that's the next chapter, right? That's the next dragon I need to defeat, which is the time blocking dragon, which is pretty hard dragon to crack, man, to get into that and get the discipline enough to do that consistently and with the passion and energy required to make that momentum occur to benefit from the compound effect of that, you know? Like, in fact, that's the most important element of our business is the time blocking element. Even Gary Keller, his whole book, the one thing is just time blocking. That's it. Pretty much a book just about time blocking. You know, even Darren Hardy, technically what he's saying is just time block, or he calls it book ending or whatever you want to call it. So it's just time block. That's it, time blocking. So yeah, leveling up and mastering your craft is committing to what's important in what you do and respecting it, right? So, you know, and mastering your craft is just one element of it. I also learned to also respect your identity and also understand that your craft is your income, but you also have the opposite, which is the free stuff. So you got the money and you've got the giving. So you got to take your income, you know, your career is taking money, give me money, okay? Your identity is zero. And then your impact, which is giving your time to your family, to your loved ones, to your community, to your causes, that's the plus. So to me, I have this nice formula, and it came during the time of when all this visualize. So I'm like, life is like a battery. You've got the minus, which is the income, which is the craft, which is the mastery. Everybody has it. You can't not have it. Okay. You've got your zero, which is your identity, which is infinite. Okay. And then you've got the plus, which is the time that you give to those that don't give any, if you go and you help someone that can't help you, that's a plus, man. But the benefit of that is equal to closing a big deal. And one of the things I would do is I would make money, but I would ignore these two quadrants. I would ignore myself. I would ignore those around me, or I would not pay attention to them. Then I'm like, okay, so I got to level up, but leveling up also includes leveling up on the income, but also leveling up on the giving, or the giving of your time, or spending on time with those that you love and admire, or things that you love and admire, and also leveling up your identity. So I consider it like a wheel. And if you're missing any part of the three parts of the wheel, it's not going to turn very well. Or if one part is really low and the other ones are big, you have like a bulging wheel. So life is like a wheel. It turns, and it turns with the plus, the minus, and the zero. So then I got it helped me make sense of, it helps me keep balanced when I'm spending too much time at work. Because I can work like 80, 90 hours, no problem. But then I realized it's like a Pareto scale. It's like if you do too much, you're going to get diminishing results. And you actually start undoing everything you're doing at a certain point, and the beauty about all this is with all this, I'm working less. I'm working way less than I did before. Before I would work like crazy and I would not see much tangible results. Now I'm working less, seeing more result, way more results. So, so the doing more with less uh, is another, and the whole you have to respect the giving or the income, and you have to respect yourself, and you have to respect giving your time as well. In terms of real estate, uh, coaching someone that like to help them, that's like a plus. You may not make any money from it, but you do satisfy a quadrant that's just as important as the lead generation or the prospecting that you should also be doing as well. So it's respecting the three elements of the plus minus zero thing. Is respecting all three elements at all times, every day, consistently.
Yep. Yep, I love it, man. So when it comes to the zero, the identity is that just understanding the self, or is there deeper things to the identity that you do or have found that are effective for you?
Yes. So my identity. So in order for you to get where you need to get, the first thing that needs to occur is the identity. So you have to visualize yourself as that person you want to be. So my like when all this when all this was happening, I visualized myself as like a commander, a person who's building a big army and fighting the battles with the armies. Okay, so I want to be the guy who's in there producing, maybe not forever, but as long as I can. But then having this amazing synergy happening all around me. So that was my identity. I'm like, hey, this is what I want. I'm happy with this. So what habits need to occur for that reality to occur? So the identity then is formed. Once the identity is formed and committed to, you start understanding what habits are required through the visualization and meditation, so that identity can become actualized or become a reality. So, like the movie and the book, The Secret, doesn't tell you anything. It just tells you you could create anything you want if you think about it. Of course. But it doesn't tell you it's tied into loops and habits. And how do you even form the habits? And what is a habit? And how do you maintain a habit? You could do a habit for a week, a month, but how do you do it for a long time? How do you internalize that habit so it becomes automated so you don't even think about it? So then it just becomes second nature, like brushing your teeth,
Yep. Have you read Atomic Habits?
Oh yeah. I'm a big habit guy. So part of this journey is I even started writing a book. I even got publishers interested. But right now, my primary focus is just real estate. That's it. That's what, and then I have milestones. If I hit those milestones, I start doing getting a platform to do the whole habit stuff. Which is it's nice to do in this business. Again, another level to real estate is training, leadership, coaching. It's so deep. You can get so many levels in this. You know what I mean? And I see some people, they detach and they become like marketing experts, or some detach and become they create amazing technology in this business. Or you could be a builder. There's so many levels to this real estate game. It's that's why you got to commit, and then and then you just find where you flow or where you.
Yep. Love it, man. So you you switch your environment, you found EXP to be the next vehicle for you. If I'm reading this correctly, it looks like you've grown your team 30 agents in about the last year and a half.
Correct.
What have you been doing? I mean, I talked to so many team leaders and broker owners that recruiting is their bottleneck, man. It's, they have a difficult time with the recruiting angle itself. Like what are some of the things that you've been doing in this last 16 months to recruit these 30 agents? What has allowed that growth to take place?
Yeah. So the 30 and 20 of them are my front line, which is even more difficult to do, like getting 20 direct. So what I do. So there's a lot of things I do. The first thing I do is I'm very consistent in constantly building relationships with realtors. So I have a mission. So I developed a mission, which is to make an impact on at least 60 realtors that I would be developing a direct relationship with. So that is a personal mission to me, and making a positive impact, helping change their life. As you know, as you start talking to different realtors, a lot of them are struggling. What percentage like fail within the first couple of years? Well, that's a lot of pain, man. And I didn't know that before, like before EXP, I never recruited, I didn't care, right? I just did my numbers and that's it, you know? I was in my own little bubble. Then when I started engaging in conversation with other agents, I started realizing, man, like this industry, there's a lot of people struggling. They don't have to struggle. So then I started thinking, well, what value could I bring? What impact could I make? Remember the impact quadrant? That's just as important as the income. So I'm like, okay, what impact could I make? So then I started developing a lot of systems, a lot of methods, outside of everything, just my way, or not my way. What I do, what I'm really good at is synergizing information to create another version of that makes sense. So what I'll do is I'll take three different systems. I'll understand all of them, and then I'll take elements of each one and make like a nice version, and then even add a couple more things that didn't even exist in those, and then try it out, fail, try it out, fail. I'm really good at that part, which is being creative. I'm very creative. So then what I've done is just create a couple of systems that allows me to present the idea in a clear manner, in an environment with an open mind, that allows them to understand the value, for them to make probably the most difficult and most important decision anyone will ever make. And it's like switching brokerages or teams, or making a move to any company is like divorcing your wife or getting married. It's that level, okay? It's a big decision, okay? So I understand that when I'm engaged. So the objective is just to develop a relationship. And the beauty, okay, so my primary objective is attraction. What's happened is my income is pretty much almost tripled, okay? So why? Because something else happened that's part of this whole like philosophy thing, this yin and yang, is when you become detached or not too fixated on the client side, the client side starts growing. It's like all these clients start reaching out because I'm not trying to pitch them anything, and they understand that I'm a realtor, and they respect that I'm building a team and doing all that. So then they start engaging me in a conversation that would have never occurred before, and a very respectful one too. And I don't even have to tell them who I am or what I do or what service I could provide. It's like, hey man, I like what you're doing. What's the value of my house? Or, hey man, like, I'm looking to buy something, like, like, what do you think of this area? So then, and then I would just continue that. So this whole thing is yeah. So, systems, I'm not the best in systems, but I am getting better every day. I'm very committed to mastering the systems component of this game at both the production and the attraction component at the highest level. And every day I improve it. Every day. Like I've switched CRM 6 times. 6 times. Okay. Like you name a CRM, I've tried it for more than like a couple of months, like, and meditated on it. Okay. So that was like, so, if I see it doesn't work, I'll evolve. I think I've reached one now, but again, you don't know until, like, you never know. And it's always evolving. And I'm always doing something. So every day I'm reaching out, every day. To be honest, attraction, AKA recruitment, it's just understanding agents and what they're looking for. And everybody's looking for different things. Some want support, others want leads, some want systems, some want security, right? Each one's different. So by listening, it helps build a relation. It's all relationship at the end of the day. It's like buyers and sellers.
Yeah, I'm curious because I know EXP offers so many different ways for agents to grow their business. You can have these agents, and these could be people that join under you that you might be mentoring in other parts of the country, or these, when you say 30 agents in 16 months, is that 30 that are like part of your direct team in Ottawa? Or are these agents that are in other
Yes.
locations?
So I'm doing it a little bit different, right? I'm not a general. Okay. So a general will just like call like every realtor in North America, right? Or have a system to connect with them. Mine is grow the core. So I'm like only one agent outside of Ottawa, two now in Montreal, and I have a lot engaged in different core cities that I'm focused on. So my mindset is this: I build the core, and I build the core in-house and close as much as possible. Build the momentum. Why? Because it's nice seeing and being involved in like a team that's synergizing at a local level, and then use this momentum to start expanding to different regions, still maintaining a regional, and then from there start expanding bigger and bigger. So Ottawa is an hour and a half away from Montreal. That's the next objective, and it's about 4 hours away from Toronto. There's, so there's massive markets there, like 10 times bigger markets there than Ottawa. Okay. So, but then I want to focus here because I'm here and I know here. And with COVID, it made me now level up, because my strategy before was in person, face to face. I'm really good at that, right? Meeting someone, building relationship, getting to know them, coffee, dinner, lunch, that. But then with COVID, you can't do that. So then I had to step up my online game, social media presence. So my mindset in all this is grow local, grow core, build strong core. Once the core is at a tipping point, start expanding, okay, and to different regions. So then the beauty about this is now I'm thinking of this in a different level, a different game set, different mindset. So my mindset isn't just buying and selling houses. It's how could I make a big impact in as many realtors' lives as possible in the fastest amount of time possible, with the tools I have in front of me. That's pretty much it. And then creating the systems in place to replicate this consistently at the highest level possible. That's pretty much what I'm trying to do here. What I am doing is just trying to go faster, more consistent. And that does mean like leveling up with systems, leveling up with procedures, processes, something I never did before. So, I leverage technology very heavily. My background's tech. I used to database for fun. Like I'm pretty technical. I love technology. But the biggest and the most difficult part in all of this is the detachment from doing everything yourself. Delegation. Before that was my bottleneck, is delegating, right? So it's a learning experience. It's fun. It's challenging. So the fact that, a lot of people are saying, hey, this is really difficult. It is the bottleneck. That's exactly why I love it, because it is a challenge. But it's the most important challenge because, I believe that, if done right, this can help a lot of people. That's what I believe, genuinely. And I believe that like to a core, and I'm doing everything I can to make it so that it helps as much as possible. By help, I mean like provides the accountability on every single person that is part of the core to do the best that they can, and understand the things required to do the best that you can are not easy, and they do require commitment. And here's what we can do to provide that. So I do provide structure in what I do. Like I have weekly mindset meetings. So that's my time block. It's my one time block I haven't broken in a year and a half, and I will never break it. That Monday, 10 a.m., man, I could have the most important thing. I've never missed it once. Even once I had an emergency, I still was zoomed in. I had someone else, quarterback the whole thing. But yeah, I don't miss that. That is one commitment I did, which is, I think, the most important, which is the accountability component. Holding everybody accountable, but holding them accountable by their own standards. Bob Bowen, he had a book called Clarity. I read that book a long time ago. And he was one of the most like like he's one of the top realtors like in North America. He makes a lot of money and he does a lot of commercial stuff. And he has a very high powered team and it was very small. And I remember him, he had an interview as well. And in the interview, he's like, the secret to our success is accountability. You know, an accountability where you just say the metrics every single day to your team, and then they're going to give you the feedback. So I'm doing it weekly, but idealistically, it should be done daily. I haven't gone to that level yet, you know, maybe one day, but I do it on my personal self daily, but I don't do it with a squad daily. So accountability is a very important and key element of the synergy that's occurring. I also have 100% retention so far. Everyone's happy. I'm not happy because, I'm telling them, please be happy. No, it's because they're doing well. And that's my objective is like, if you're not doing well, what can I do to help? Right. And a lot of time it's just simple stuff. Right. And sometimes it's just asking that question. Oh yeah. And they start talking it out. And then, so those are just some of the elements that are non-tech, right? And then there's of course the technology element, right? And we can get into that as well. Like I've got lots of tools that I use, and
yeah. I'm curious. It's you were just talking about challenges, but you had a smile on your face, right? Speaking of them, and so many people, man, hate challenges. They run from problems, and it sounds like, from just listening to your journey here, that's been one of the biggest changes in your personal growth transformation is going from a guy that didn't want the challenges, didn't face those challenges to now being a guy that like just loves them and wants to take them on. And, and at the end of the day, like what hell fun would this life be if we didn't have challenges? Like if life was just easy, like it wouldn't be any fun, dude. Like challenges are what makes this freaking fun, dude.
Yeah. So it's like the dragons, right? Those dragons out there, go battle them. They're going to chop your head off sometimes. You're going to get a bite or two. You might lose a limb. You might even die. But hey, it's a video game. Get reborn the next day and go battle it again. Take another swing at it. Sometimes you might 100-day swings at that thing and it keeps defeating you. But eventually, especially the big fears, team up. Team up. If you have a strong team and it starts with you, okay? Nobody's going to join your team if you're not part of your own team. And then, then the core, okay, then, the tertiary, and then it just keeps expanding. And that dome that I was talking about before just keeps getting bigger, okay? But the dragons get bigger too. The challenges get bigger. At different levels to this, right? A level 10 problem is not the same as a level 2 problem, right? There's people dealing with different levels of problems, different complexities. And the more you level up, the more complex they become. And you have to be prepared. You have to have your sanctuary, your little space, especially like, that's my routine, the morning stuff, or even just the affirmations, or even just something to keep you focused on what's important so that when the challenges arise, you can take them on. And understand that you don't have to take them on yourself. You can take them on as a team, or that if you do fail, that's okay. It's like Super Mario. You just start again. Start level 1 and go try it again. You know what I'm saying?
Love it, man. And now that you're experiencing this growth and this momentum, do you have a more long-term vision of where you want to take this thing, or where do you see yourself? Where do you see this in 2-5 years?
I have a big vision. My vision is an impact all over the world in this industry at multiple levels, starting with the whole team building. The number I would say is kind of like a little bit like, yeah, okay, bud, but who cares? You got to say it. Why not 30,000, right? With this model, yeah, I could, right? It's just, I'm not babysitting. This is what, 680,000 realtors in Brazil. You have to get lucky a couple of times and a couple of guys just blow up according to Pareto principle, right? For every 10, you're going to have like 1 or 2 Paretos. These are the ones that are going to like grow like crazy. So just focus on leveling up on, your downline and being strategic. So making an impact at an international level, on that level, and making changes in this industry. I have I'm connecting with builders. I'm connecting with massive developers all over the world, massive realtors. So now it's making me think in a different level. Like I'm speaking with a team in Philippines about, 300 agents that are thinking, but then I have to figure out how I'm going to even go there. You have to figure out the cost, what the portals they use. Now it's making me see a real estate industry I've never seen before, how they operate. Some use MLS, some don't. Apparently 60% of that industry is unlicensed realtors. They have a big problem there. And I'm talking with like the president of their, real estate association, and I'm learning. It's a journey. Like it gets so deep. I'm loving the team building element of it. Okay, and I want the synergistic element of it. And the end goal is to also maybe like on the production side, focus on bringing like more investors over here to North America, Canada, to build big things here, man, make things happen here. Because, there's a lot of people that like North America, especially Canada, that want to invest here, but they don't know how. They don't know what products are here. Like even people here don't know how to buy commercial real estate. Imagine someone like, like Tokyo or Sydney or South Africa or wherever, India, and they want to buy here. So I want to facilitate that process as well. Create like a nice, a consistent method to allow investment in real estate in here. Okay, and here could be wherever my team is operating. So the objective is to have a nexus of realtors operating under a system that allows this to occur. How that's going to look, I have no idea. This is like you said 5-10 years. That's 5-10 years. Like could it happen? I don't know. But here's the beauty: it doesn't matter. What matters is I just keep chugging along. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, I got to keep adjusting.
Yep. I love it. Well, and the how-to always figures itself out, right? Yeah. When you set those big goals, those big visions, and then the passion that it creates in each and every day and for us. And hey, man, maybe you missed the mark, but you end up with 10,000 agents, not 30,000. That's still massive. That's still life-changing on so many different fronts.
Yeah. It's like, it's just committing. Like, I don't know, maybe I might just hit a 1/10 of that. But even if I hit a 1/10 of that, that's still amazing. Yeah. I'm 10xing my goals, more like 100xing. Okay, Grant Cardone's 10x method. I use that, right? So my 10-year goal, I make it my 1 year, and then I break it down per hour, and then I get my hourly rate, right? So like I do that, and that helps me because it helps me macro a little bit,
Yeah, well, and people are doing it too, right? Like I have a friend of mine with EXP, and this isn't all within his team, but in his downline, he has 3,000 agents down his downline, and wow. See those profit share checks that he's making, and it's mind blowing, right? When you see nettings, well over 7 figures a year, right? And that's not even counting team production. That's just the revenue share, man. It's people can say whatever about EXP, whatever, but man, I've got some homies there at the top, and I've seen the checks, right? And you're just like, what the hell?
The first thing I did when I joined EXP is I contacted Kevin Kaufman. He's in your marketplace.
Yeah, he's
right?
a good homie of mine. Yeah.
Yeah, this guy's amazing. Okay, he spent 2.5 hours with me. I'm a brand new guy. Like zero on the radar. This guy is producing over 1,000 deals a year, and he spends 2.5 hours breaking down every single thing that he's doing down to a T. Okay, and super patient, and like literally, like as soon as I hey, you got some time? Yeah, 3 o'clock. Okay, and then boom. So, yeah, man. Like it's like, and then that really motivated me a lot. Seeing that level of success. And he was telling me about one of his guys who was his top producer, and then at that time he was telling me he's bringing a 90-person brokerage in, and he's like, this guy he doesn't want to produce anymore. He's like, this why would I produce so I could do this? I'm like, interesting. He's like, yeah, just commit, and just he gave me some tips, some pointers, how to build an effective team, small things like, I actually made the mistake and didn't realize it until like really after, and it was just a recent mistake, is I was giving my agents too many leads. Apparently you're supposed to keep it 15-30. I was given 130. So I was having a little problem there where it's like they weren't being followed up. Then I learned, okay, you gotta space it out, because over 5 months it starts compounding. And if you give them too much, it's just not going to work. So even though he said it and you said it too, I kind of forgot about it. And now I'm like, okay, I got to go back to the fundamentals of, that's part of the whole mastering of the craft is making the mistakes, the trial and the error, and failing forward, or whatever you want to call it, and being around people that have done it and can add value to what you're doing. And that's why I'm a big student of your alumni and your program as well, is you add value every single day. Like, you come in, you show up, and your content is the highest quality I've seen out of everybody. And I've, like, you name a coach, I've only been to their seminars, but got their materials, and like by far yours is the most complete and up to date that I've seen. So I love that, and I appreciate that. And you are making a big impact on this industry, more than you think. Like, it's pretty massive.
Man. Well, it means a lot, dude. Truly means a lot, man. And it's been such an honor just to roll with you and watch this all the success that you've created and continue to create, man. I can't wait to see you hit that. I know you're going to hit that 30,000 mark, man. And I'm excited for every second of that journey, dude. Ali, for those that are watching and listening, man, that want to continue following you, maybe they have a referral for your area. Maybe there's somebody that's thinking about joining EXP or is looking for some mentorship in that element and want to have a conversation with you around that. Like, where's the best place to get in touch with you at?
So they can get in touch with me either on Instagram or Facebook. Both places I'm pretty active on. Both places. So on Instagram it's at Ali Abbas Group, and on Facebook it's fb.com/Ali Abbas Realtor. Now I am thinking of building a brand, because I want to make it a systemized thing, but right now that's I'm using my name. Eventually I want to get to a point where the system is not attached to me. I want full detachment. I want just the thing to operate on its own. So yeah, but for now, Ali Abbas Group on Instagram, and Ali Abbas Realtor on Facebook. That's the best way, or by email or phone number, but I don't that's also good as well.
If you that, and we'll make sure to get all of that from you too and have it below.
Yeah.
So wherever you guys are watching, you're listening, whatever medium, whether it's iTunes, YouTube, wherever you're at, scroll below, we'll have all of Ali's contact information, social media handles, all of that right below. And then if you're watching this in the future, Ali, if you do, switch those handles, or we can always update that contact information down the road, because this will live on forever. So, man, I know we went long on time here. We're well into 90 minutes on this, man. And dude, I just truly appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to be here, man. This has been a ton of fun. It's been awesome jamming with you, my friend.
Thank you. And it's, I'm thankful that you took time of your busy day to come meet with me, because this has always been a goal of mine, is to have this conversation and to even have another one where we can see what happens. So I'm super stoked, and this is like, I've been looking forward to this. So I appreciate you having me on this podcast, and I love it. I love this podcast, and I listen to it pretty much all the time when I'm driving, and it's amazing. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, 100%, my friend. Yeah, we'll get we'll start planning round number 2 in like 12 months, man, and just keep getting an update on that journey. And those watching, listening, as always, we truly appreciate you being here. Truly appreciate all your support. Keep up the amazing work. Keep kicking ass, and we will see you next time. Peace. I hope you enjoyed this GSD Mode podcast episode. Now make sure you get shit done and smash that subscribe button now.